Good morning to all.
Good morning, Dr. Suhas.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you all.
Yeah,
It's
good
always
morning,
a
Dr.
pleasure. We are actually very keen, to at least on the virtual format to connect with all of you. Good, 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 good. We'll just wait for 1 or 2 minutes in case some of our other participants are coming, or else we'll start. Absolutely nothing to worry. Okay, just before we start, I have a question to ask. Did some of you all get the mail from Delhi office for the mock exam tomorrow at 4 o'clock, asking for 15 to 20 volunteers?
No, sir, we haven't. I haven't received.
Okay, fine. I think they must have done some. They have sent to some of them, so possibly they are starting the first round tomorrow, just as a mock to understand how the online format would work. Maybe some vendor is connected on in that loop. So fine. I mean, gradually we'll have more vendors coming in, and then finalize. Possibly they'll finalize something like that. Absolutely nothing to worry. So I mean, so we start from here. Can we start? Shall we? Okay. So I mean, let's say all. Yeah, let's go ahead, let's start. In fact, I'm charged, so I need to start. At least one confirmation from any one side. Shall we?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes,
That's
sir.
nice. That's nice. Okay, so today is actually our fifth session. When you say fifth session, we have finished one contact class program face to face. We have finished 4 sessions, and this is the fifth. And on the 11th, we'll have the last session for this subject. Most of the other subjects are actually almost over. We'll be having some certain learning series that would take some time. In the next 2 weeks, we'll have those things happening. Okay, so best wishes to all of you on Guru Purnima. It's basically my blessings and my best wishes for all of you all to grow. And I accept your wishes and blessings also, because we are all learning from each other actually. So happy Guru Purnima to all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you so much.
Sir.
Okay.
Happy Guru Purnima to you too, sir.
Thank you so much. God bless. So we start with a couple of things. The session outcomes. Now, what I have done is I have integrated some questions also of the old question papers, because they relate and correlate. So we need to have some sort of an idea as to what certain topics are. Even in the next session or the last session on the 11th, we'll be having a similar debrief of answering questions from different question papers. So I will customize a presentation connected to that. So today also partially it will be connected. So we will go on to different areas and view across. Of course, not into too much of detail, but at least you need to get the flavor out of each of these concepts, which could be asked in the exams and even from the practical point of view. So we will be covering model for the BCG, which is the Boston Consulting Group model, which is applicable to HR. I think I gave you a brief overview in the last session. We have again Michael Porter, the 5 forces, along with his same input on competitive strategies. Most of these models are customized from the marketing domain, but now we will relate it to HR, training and development, because that is our area of study, or that is our area of gathering knowledge. So even in your exams, you could customize it and put it like that. Then we have Kurt Levin, which is the force field analysis, which also we'll do in brief. Then we'll talk about the workforce scorecard. Basically, when you talk about a scorecard is basically a template or in simple language, what we'll call as a result. When you talk about a result, take a simple example of any result for that matter of any class of study what you have done in the past. That result reflects your performance in various tests, in various tutorials, various exams. So here also a specific format of a scorecard has been used. We take the cue from the balance scorecard, and customization has been done for workforce, HR, and training. So we'll be able to understand slightly as to how these templates are created. Of course, it will require a lot of statistical inputs and things like that, but at least for your knowledge and for your input for the exams, you need to understand what this template could include, should include, and what it covers. Then, of course, we have our organizational development. When you talk about organizational development, we are very lucky that being in the first semester in the first subject, that is business strategy in HRD, you will be getting the flavor of the most important subject in the last semester also, which is known as OD and change management. So some amount of OD we will understand and analyze. We will seek some OD interventions also in our study. We'll make it very crisp. And of course, a lot of focus has been happening on training strategy. So even those things we need to cover, because those are definite questions which are coming. And of course, we will finish off or culminate today with strategic organizational change. So this is how our flow is going to be. Okay, so it's basically when you talk about strategy, we talk about the movement, we talk about the enthusiasm, we talk about ideation, we talk about collaboration, we talk about many things which are happening to create some sort of an action plan, to create some sort of an impact, to create some sort of a positive outcome, result based. Now, especially during COVID times, it is becoming a bit difficult, but we'll definitely try and see how best we could correlate and understand and go beyond. Okay, so now when we are talking about the BCG matrix for HR, it has been evolved from the normal marketing domain. It was conceptualized in the year 1968, where we plot certain things, which is like a relative market share and the market growth rate. We have the highs and the lows, and the lows and the highs. It's plotted on an x-axis and the y-axis, and we create 4 quadrants. Now, these 4 quadrants could be identical to the quadrants in marketing, but here we'll use customization. Only HR and L&D purview we need to understand crisply, not exactly in detail. So even when you're asked a question in your exams, either as a short note or as a brief answer, you could correlate and put some additional points which are customized to the HR and L&D domain. So when you talk about STAR, the first one which is in red, it's basically creating of the future talent pipeline. Now this thing was not very predominant in the past. It's picked up a lot of steam and it's picked up a lot of importance these days. We have a specific talent identification system. We have a specific performance appraisal system which happens periodically at intervals, and we create a pipeline of future leaders at different levels. So these people, these youngsters, just like you all, would be identified to take over positions as and when the vacancy arises, or as and when new positions are created, or as and when there is a demand to attach yourself to that situation or circumstance demanding your specialization of skills and competencies. So total grooming takes place. So it's basically talking about high. I mean, when you talk about high, it's basically the market growth and the market share you are impacting for the organization, where both the things will be on the higher rate. So that's basically where you stand. Then that's where you're talking about future talent pipeline. Exposure to enhance capability beyond education. We have gone beyond the credentialing. We have gone beyond the credentialing, where we talk about normal diplomas, certificates, degrees, postgraduates, even PG, even the PhD or postgraduate certifications whatsoever. We have gone much beyond. We are focusing upon a skill-based or domain-based or expertise or exposure in that area beyond your normal education. It would not be very surprising to know that a person from a commerce background has picked up and become proficient in the field of technology or in the field of a specific technology enablement in his or her organization. So those sort of capabilities to go beyond the redundancy level is the need of the hour for all of us. Customization is the need of the hour. Giving you a simple example, in the field of HR and in the field of marketing also, analytics was not very well known once upon a time. We of course used some amount of perception, some amount of figures, some amount of calculation, some amount of numerical values, but now we use specific tools to come to a specific outcome. So some sort of an enhancement keeps on going, and this picks up. It's basically like, if you ask me, uh, if I would be able to answer, I would tell you that it's basically becoming like a snowball, gathering more and more, not moss, but more and more of skills, more and more of competencies, more and more of specialization, irrespective of the area or domain or the job role which you may belong to. So that's basically one area. Next is question mark. Now, when you talk about question mark, it's high on growth and low on share, where we need to connect and understand the enablement to invest. Now, why do you need to invest? Now, when you talk about investment, investment is a specific amount of apportioning a budget or part of the budget to develop the talent. Now, when you talk about talent, talent is basically the booming or the blooming people. I mean, the people who are not in the landscape in a specific job role, they need to be identified, they need to be groomed, they need to be developed to come up to that specific standard so that they can perform. So it's a very welcome gesture these days when you see CEOs or CHROs or CMOs or heads of training who are anywhere in between the age of 28 to 35. It never happened in the past. We could never dream to become a head, even though we would reach the age of 45 plus. But things are changing. There is a lot of disruption, a lot of agility, a lot of recognition of your talent, a lot of development of your skills, which is basically where we need to have that question marks being attended to. The problem child, as we call them, the problem child needs to be the person who's going to develop, the person who's going to deliver. So that's basically where we need to remove these question marks, or we need to cater to that element. We need to align these people, these talent, not so bright people, not the hippos actually, the so-called people who could be developed into hippos, or at least in the moderate level of developing towards the hippo. Hippo is nothing but high performance. So needing to align back to the strategy and the business perspective. So that's basically the second area of question marks. The third one is the cash cows. Cash cows are low on growth but high on the share, where it's basically the employees who are heart of the business. When you ask me, or when you ask any business head for that matter, they will say marketing people and finance people are the heart of the business, but it's not exactly true. It's all of us holistically contributing to the whole business. Some of them may be doing it in a very functional format, some of them may be doing it in the operational format, but all of us contribute to the fabric of adding value of developing the business and creating a sustainability and offering a brand. When you talk about a brand, it's not just employee branding, but contributing to the employer branding. We add value through blogs, through inputs, to results, to outcomes, to competition, to agility, to disruptions, to creating a difference, to doing something new, to doing something very superior or something very exemplary. So that's basically when we talk about being a cash cow. It relates to almost 75% of the workforce. When you talk about 75, friends, understand it's not just focus on 25%. 25% are already doing it well. These 75% are the basic people or the group or the mass or the audience whom we need to focus and create value so that they keep adding, because otherwise it will be a very costly labor overhead. We'll be paying salaries, and if they are not delivering or if they are not performing, it's going to be a big problem. It won't be a cash cow, it will be a big problem. So we need to get beyond this and go beyond. We need to have continuous motivation, continuous impacts being done with the workforce. I'm very sure, just like the physical format, even on the virtual formats, many of you all are connecting to your teams, the amount of trust, the amount of engagement, the amount of empowerment, the amount of connectivity, the amount of flexibility, the amount of resilience which we are building in them and ourselves, even though we are working from remote locations or dispersed state as of now. We are still connecting with them, and we are still trying to see that all these threads are together in the form of one unified fabric. So that's basically what we call as cash cows. Now we go on to the next point, which is dogs. When we talk about dogs, dogs are basically low on growth and low on share. These are people who are bleeding the company. The company is being bled in the sense you're losing your money, there is no productivity, there is no performance, there is absolutely a challenge. You have a lot of those people. I mean, giving a simple reference, point of reference in Marathi, they say pagar paije nokri nako, kam nako. So not all of them are in that format, but if you're identifying some of these sort of elements, it is better to eject them out of the system rather than take care of these people and add the burden of payments without any deliverables or without any performance criteria. So these people, we need to be very cautious and very diplomatic, because you need to be very, very careful if you're going to eject them or you're going to terminate them or discharge them. So they offer little contribution to the business, and performance is a big question mark. So we should try to see that most of them are configured towards the stars. We develop people towards the stars. If not, then we go on slightly, towards the question marks, or if nothing, then at least cash cows. And dogs we should avoid. This is a standard principle, and which we need to adopt. Now the BCG model is useful for talent planning. Talent planning and talent pipelining is a very important tool for L&D also, because we are the ones in the L&D domain, in the training domain, who are actually ensuring the right capacity, the right capability, the right skills in the right place to develop the markets. Markets is basically the whole market space. So when you talk about all those things, we are actually all contributing to the marketplace for growth, development, sustainability, performance standards, matching with international standards, going across good manufacturing practices, or whatever you call it. We are all groomed to that. Whether you're a startup or you're a modest organization or you're a multinational company, irrespective of whatever it is, our aim is to create a presence. Our aim is presently to contribute. Of course, COVID has put something slightly off mark, but of course we are still contributing. Any business strategy aimed at entering new markets needs a clear business plan. Once upon a time, when we spoke about business plan had no features being added by the juniors. It used to be only done by the board of directors and the chairman and managing director and strategic consultants. But now things have changed. We have a lot of brainstorming sessions, we have inputs, we have collaboration, we have youngsters, we have newcomers, we have people who are just boarded, and we take a lot of fragments, and then we build up the whole fabric or the mesh, which could create a very nice and aligned business plan, taking into consideration a lot of important features. So, but equally important is to connect with the business plan. We are connecting the word strategic talent plan, because we need to identify people, process, performance, and profits. We have the 4 P's. We don't have a choice. We need to have people whatsoever. It is combining of tech and the touch together. By having a talent pipeline plan in place, not only can you deploy great performers or high performers, but you can also manage the underperformers or any sort of, the complete performance criteria which you're considering to map performers on a different format. We have a lot of mapping being done these days along with the performance appraisal. So we are able to pinpoint and understand every single employee and map him or map her and align them for improvement for future success. We go on to the scavenger hunt. When you talk about the scavenger hunt, I've tried to put a clip art screen in front of you, and I've put some symbols, and I would like to expect some answers from you, because it will be very useful if you are able to share some perspectives and tell us how it could contribute in whatsoever the words appear. So what I'll be doing is I'll be gradually navigating my cursor towards each icon which is marked in white, and that will reflect a red circle on the specific storyboard clip art format. So it will give a ideation, and you are supposed to connect and understand and share a perspective. I may not be able to see each of you with your names because I'm on a full screen, but I'm sure that I'll be able to commend each of you when we go back into the escape mode and when we're towards the finishing trend. So I would love to have independent inputs, because we have a wonderful group of people from different backgrounds: finance, banking, pharma, retail, education, and of course certain people are insurance, taxation. I mean, you name it, all of us are here. So let's start the game. Are we all prepared?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm starting the first one. Putting strategy into action. Now you're seeing a rocket which says putting a strategy into action. You're able to see a colored yellow rocket which says a strategy into action. Can anyone give an input? It could be simple or it could be specific, whatever. Please go ahead.
This is performance.
Very good. Very good. Of course, I specifically told you because I'm on full screen, I'm not able to see you, because if I go into escape again, the thing will be disturbed. Okay, Abhay, thank you so much. Putting strategy. Basically, the focus is very simple. Whatever it is, we need to understand our strategy needs to have one major focus point, that is performance. Because if there is no performance, there is no delivery, there is no benefits, there is no growth, there is no sustainability. Well done. I commend your efforts, Abhay. So we go on to the next one. Ideation. So, okay, anyone could contribute to this point? Ideation.
Bring some innovative idea.
Okay, Pradeep, very nice. I've got one more idea now. When I'm seeing the screen, I've got a small projection which shows your name. So that's a good thing. So I can see that Pradeep has given his input, Pradeep Barua. So ideation is basically something to do where you use something very crisp, something new, something innovative, something which is not done in the past, something which is an improvement, or something which is a focus towards having the desired result. Very good. Well done.
Can we say out of box thinking?
Oh yes, Razia, sure. Very good. Oh yes. And I thank all of you all, because I started observing my screen on all the corners and I'm able to see your name. If not on the list, I'm able to see a specific talking Razia, talking Pradeep. So that's good. I mean, this is something which I learned today from you all. Thank you so much. So it's basically, yes, Razia, what you're saying is right. Even that could be out of box thinking. We need to go beyond the normal, what do you call that? What the horses wear actually. They put it on the horses. I don't remember the exact term now, so that it runs only ahead. The race horses normally have the blinds put on their eyes so that they go only ahead and they move in circles or on the track so that they win. But we need to go beyond. We need to see on the sides. We need to see what disruption is happening. We need to see what the competitors are doing. We need to do a lot of things to go one step ahead or outperform or outreach the people in a different format. Very nice, Razia. Thank you so much. So we go on to the evaluation mode. What is the evaluation mode? Evaluation mode actually comes on the last feature. When you talk about evaluation, results, assessments, understanding where we stand, comparing the gaps and the actuals, and whether we have actually done something better. So anyone would like to put an input on evaluation?
It's basically to evaluate our plan, like many people do in the quarter basis, that what we have planned and what we have got. So each and every quarter, if you do some evaluations of our plan and strategy, we'll came to know actually whether going into the right direction or not. Maybe after some times we need to change the directions. So based on the evaluation, we can actually plan our strategy much more better.
Very nice, Pradeep. Very nice. Very nice, Pradeep. I think Sahu, you also, I could see you. Then Sahu, would you like to add something?
Yes, sir. Taking periodic review and feedback and making a midterm corrective action, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. Excellent inputs from Pradeep, Barua and Sahu. Exactly, we could do a quarterly check, we could do a performance review, we could have evaluations and assessments, we could have statistical rubrics or a pattern of assessment on a regular basis, so that we understand what the actuals are, what the thresholds are, what the benchmarks are, and where we are failing. If you are performing better, great. If you are not performing to the expected standard, we need to pull up our socks and do better. So that's basically an input. Very well done. So now we go on to the next input, that is training. So training, you have exactly seen, it's basically parts of the brain. So anyone would like to add some sort of a value in this?
Brainstorming, can we talk about that? It may be brainstorming.
Okay, Vijendra, brainstorming. Yes.
We are taking the input from other people.
Very good.
And then devising an idea and, devising the roadmap for that.
Very good, very good. So Vijendra, when we relate this concept to the word training earlier, I still remember during the good old days when I was a youngster, we used to have trainings. It never used to be very elaborate. It used to be more functional or more related to the line managerial functions without any inputs from the trainees. Karna hai to karna hai, and it was more like a firefighting exercise. Aag lag gayi hai, fire extinguisher lagao. But now we use inputs from people. We understand their development requirements. We understand or evaluate and try to see what best we can do for making the training more pragmatic, more focused, more development based, and more need based, rather than as an operation ki karna hai to karna hai. We don't do it as a tick mark activity anymore. So thanks to your inputs, Vijendra Vishwakarma, that's the name which I read. Very well done. Thank you so much. So we go on to the next feature. I'm not going in any specific manner. I'm just picking up random words. So we will cover all the words. We have got 3 more left. So we have collaboration. Any inputs on collaboration?
Everyone in an organization, all the employees, like coming together and working for a common goal of the organization.
Okay. So any other inputs on collaboration? Razia, thank you very much. Collaboration is basically you need to make noise. You need to make noise in the sense, not non-permitted noise, permitted noise in the sense giving your comments, giving your suggestions.
Collaboration is such participation in which both the party
gains. Yes, Abhay. Some sort of a collaboration where both the parties agree. Yes.
Taking the help of all the department.
Sir, it can be among peers as well as competitor also.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Vijendra, it could be with competitors, it could be with different stakeholders. Yeah. Very well done. Yes. Yeah. I think I could see Rakesh also giving an input, Swapnil also giving an input. Can we start all together? Yes, I think one by one we could take. Rakesh, would you like to add something?
No, sir. I said that sometimes the competitors they have the G was this General Motors was having this GPS system, but it was not using, and some other company needs that. Now Google and other these things they have not invented, but they have utilized better than the inventor. So this collaboration sometimes brings the innovator to the user.
Okay. So y'all are right. Now, in fact, you are lucky that the collaboration inputs are being in sync or embedded with collaboration tools and techniques which are available on the scientific format. So we could use specific inputs to direct a specific, a result or an output or something which you actually want. So that sort of a thing is actually there. So thank you, Rakesh. Thank you, Vijendra. Thank you, Abhay. So we go on. Yes.
Sir, I just want to add, are we talking about joint ventures or merging or acquisitions?
It could include any of these things. It could include any of these things. It could. Fine, the landscape is very broad. The landscape is very broad. Even in a small startup, we have a lot of changes happening. We have a lot of collaboration happening. We have a lot of things going overboard, as we call it, overboard in the good way. It basically everyone is ready to take the leap. So that's basically what it is.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. So now we go on to the goals. Anyone would like to give the goals? Some linkages, some viewpoints, something here and there.
Training the people to hit the good bullseye.
Okay, so basically hitting the bullseye or taking a correct aim or being very focused or being very specific. In fact, it has been observed that IT companies and many companies are taking people or engaging talent or hiring talent who are actually ready to perform. They will add value and they will perform. Gone are the old days during my times when we used to talk about onboarding or induction, which would take months together. We have these days focused on taking talented people who could understand the complete system, the standard operating procedures, and deliver. They are focused, they have the goals aligned. We could have a virtual format before they join so that they understand our concept, they understand our brand, they understand our philosophy, they understand our mission, and then they align with us, or it's basically they accept our company where they are joining as a sponge. How the sponge takes water, something in that format. Very good. Thank you so much. So we go on to the next one, intervention. Very important term. Any inputs on intervention?
So, Dr. Suhas,
Yes,
intervention basically means alignment to the objectives.
Very good.
So, whenever required.
Very good. Very good. So Muralidhar's input is very good. He says intervention is required as and when the requirement is there by seniors, by experienced people, or by even heads. Not necessarily senior by age, maybe senior by position, senior by experience, senior by exposure, senior by knowledge, senior by proximity to what's actually happening. So intervention is required so that we do not deviate from the main line. So that's basically intervention. Thank you so much. So we go on to the next one. I told you it's not specifically in order. All these things are part of our scavenger hunt actually. So the last part is the process. Now, what is this word process relate to?
So that pictogram is showing itself is a sync. Okay. Basically from top to bottom, every process has to be synced and in a line with the requirement of the organizations. If there is any gap on the process, then the whole plan will be in toss.
Okay. Thank you, Pradeep. So anyone from the engineering background is here? Anyone from an engineering company or an engineering qualification or something like that? No, I mean, I don't require someone to be in that, but just to make it easier. Okay, so fine. I mean, this specific picture or that symbol talks about vectors. Vectors synchronize. So it's basically required, just like Pradeep Barua rightly said, one vector needs to initiate the next vector to move. So it's basically technology being used by people. We have the creative inputs, we have the innovation happening, we have all those things happening, but the process going in a smooth and a streamlined manner. So that's basically what we're talking about. So yes. So we go on to the next model. Thank you so much for your inputs. All of you all have done phenomenally well with your inputs. Now we go on to Michael Porter's 5 forces model of 1979. This is a definite question which comes in your papers. Most of the time it's been coming, so I possibly think even this time it could feature. Now all the 5 things are recorded here. We will go standardized format so that we understand what we are talking about. The first we'll take is, there is no specific order as such, but we'll try to understand most of the things. If we follow a specific order, it would be easier, but there is no specific thing. All these 5 things need to be there. So we will take the first thing as technology, even though you see it at the bottom. So when you talk about technology, we need to have a specific policy. We need to understand the type of policies to accept technological advancement, for improvement, for accuracy, for development, for thriving, for agility, for performance, for results. I mean, you need to have a policy which integrates. We cannot have outdated policies which were there earlier. We need to be very progressive. So we need to do that, and we need to understand the politics. Politics, when we talk about politics, is basically something where we talk about people being involved, people giving their opinions, people arguing, people fighting, people contradicting. All those things could happen. It is including within the organization and with our competitors, with other stakeholders, with customers also. But when you talk about this politics, we pick up only positive features from that, so that we can integrate technology and human capital together through a policy format and control any threat from substitution. Substitution would include a threat either by a joint venture or an amalgamation or a takeover in the hostile manner. I'm not talking about the friendly mannerism. I'm talking about something which is actually not permissible. So we don't want something like that happening. Like for example, a hostile takeover by Larsen and Toubro of Mindtree. Mindtree was doing very well. It was a wonderful startup. It was thriving. It was growing. But the power and the politics and the money and the technology of the technology giant Larsen and Toubro bought the disruption, took over Mindtree. Of course, now it's being very progressive. It's developing. A lot of integration has happened. So sometimes this sort of a thing could happen, whether it's for the good or the bad. We need to take only the positive features. Now we go on to the next one, is recruiters. When you talk about recruiters, this is basically picking up people and developing people within. We need to have both recruiting within and recruiting without. So we talk about things like personal development. We talk about a lot of importance given to the concept of training and development, and we talk about internships, apprenticeships. I mean, now that we are into the Skill India mode, all our organizations directly or indirectly thrive on internships. Even during COVID, we are having a lot of those MBA graduates or people who are yet to graduate going into virtual internships. So already familiarization with the organizational cultures, the SOPs, the procedures, practices, working with technology, adaptations are actually happening. Now this point, last one, I've deliberately put. Anyone knows what's the NEEM scheme? It is in fact being construed beyond the normal framework. The normal framework is the National Employability Eligibility Mission, where we talk about employing or creating employment for people who have studied up to 10th, who have studied up to 12th, who don't have the resources to study beyond. We integrate them like an apprentice, like an intern, but companies are using this scheme to exploit people. These people are being adopted, these people are being interned, these people are being accepted in the system under NEEM. NEEM is a central government scheme and all state governments are following it to a certain extent. We are getting manpower, but it doesn't mean manpower or workforce getting very cheap. We are not supposed to exploit them. We are supposed to train them. We are supposed to develop them, and we are supposed to make them employable either for our own requirement for manpower or for giving it back to the industry in case a person would like to go somewhere else. So that's basically the supplier power. We need to understand what the recruitment supply is for getting the right type of talent. The third type is the competitiveness. Competitiveness, we have a lot of competition happening in the industry where we talk about, you will see projection which shows about age, gender, and skill. We have people who are more competent. We have ladies who are coming in. I mean, the traditional concept that only men can perform has been challenged and has been thrown out. I mean, we are all into the deep sea. I'm sorry to say this, but we have wonderful ladies who are taking on the challenge, who are accepting, who are very proactive, who are becoming directors, who are becoming heads, who are contributing, who are working. In fact, I would like to share, there was a time when the Indian Air Force never had a fighter pilot in the form of a woman. I'm proud to say that we have the first batch which has been inducted, which includes 16 girls who are in between the ages of 20 to 22, and they're ready to protect our country. That sort of an engagement is already happening. We are saying the total landscape changing. Of course, percentage of women working is slightly low. So there is a lot of competition happening. The industry says, if you're not ready to take, I'm ready to take. So we have certain industries like the telecom, the retail, the hospitality, the services, banking, insurance, which have become friendly. We talk about diversity and inclusion, so we are not going against anything. Even transgender is supposed to be respected if they have a specific capability and eligibility. We believe in equal opportunity employment, so we need to give them. We have a provision for accepting PWD, that is people with disability. So age, gender, skills, all could be form of this complete circle of competition. If you're not going to take, I'm ready to take, because I'm going to add value as far as my contribution to the government, or as far as my contribution to the society, or as far as my contribution to that domain is concerned. So that's going to happen. So that's basically the competitiveness in the industry focus. Then we have the organizations which have the buying power. Okay. So when you talk about organizations as buying power, kindly do not connect the word marketing over here. We talk about powerful organizations. Anyone has heard of the word GAFA? GAFA?
No.
Okay, I mean, this is a popular term which is being used. GAFA is Google, Alibaba, Facebook, and Amazon. Now, these are four organizations which are transforming the landscape. They have got good practices, and most of us, even I, at this age, would love to do a small stint, maybe a big stint with any of these four organizations, because it's not basically my joining is not important, but I would like to add value in learning and understanding. So most of us would be very glad to do an assignment with GAFA, or there are many such combinations of words. So they have the buying power, or they have the pulling power of attracting the right talent or the right people so that they perform and deliver. So that niche is there. They create something which is very extraordinary, which is very exemplary. Okay. So basically it is brand legislation, or it is basically brand customization. So you identify yourself working with a brand. Yes, I'm part of Mahindra. I'm part of Reliance. Yes, I'm part of L&T. I am part of so-and-so. I'm part of TCS. When you associate yourself with these brands, they are having a creation of accepting a new group of people as per their requirement. It's not that take anything what is available. They can do cherry picking. Okay. Now, when you talk about globalization, of course, we go on to combining the word global and local. We call it global. We talk about a threat of new entry. We have a lot of foreign direct investment happening. We have a lot of collaboration happening. We have a lot of expatriates working with us. We have Italians, we have Americans, we have Chinese, we have Germans, we have Koreans. We are not talking just about technology. We are talking about people. We are talking about standards. We are talking about multiple things in the working space, which add to the word of globalization, which is actually a threat. When you talk about threat, do not envisage the word as threat. It's more like creating a challenge. So if there's going to be someone coming in, he has to be ready. That organization, that startup, that multinational company, that bifurcation, that diversification, or the new plant which is coming in needs to be more focused on the skills, more focused and more diversified, and needs to have a specific level of experience. Giving an example, when there was certain probings happening at the government level because of the opposition parties, it was understood that Reliance has got investment or a stake in a defense-based company. They had done the groundwork, including acquisition of land, having the expertise, creating the board of directors, creating the top deck, and creating all the superstructure and part of the infrastructure ready in case they get the contract. So they will be able to add value. So that sort of engagement, that sort of a niche, that sort of a diversification, right from polyester fibers to defense, to petrochemicals, to anything. I mean, you name it, all organizations are going on the globalization front to attend or basically cater to the diverse needs of the customers. We go on to fine-tuning this actually, implementing threat of substitutes. When you have an alternate product available, there is a greater chance of people switching. Someone going for better technology, better salaries, whatever. So you have a threat. So when you have a threat, possibly there will be a switchover, possibly there will be attrition. When you have the threat for a new competitor coming in, it will have something which was not previously competed with you. It could be a brand new challenge, which could be a complete shift in a business strategy. The intensity of competitive rivalry would mean different opponents which use different tactics. It could be resources, it could be aggressiveness, it could be the level and the scale, it could be multiple things. I'm going slightly fast because we will need to explain many other things also. The bargaining power of the customers, we need to understand who the customers are, the degree of dependence, the uniqueness of your offerings, and the availability of substitute products where the customer can actually decide to haggle or not. Mangta ke nahi mangta, nahi to main dusre ke paas jaun. So these things need to be considered because customer is considered to be supreme. The bargaining power of suppliers like customers, suppliers, vendors, the intensity of competition through the ability to control prices marketing has got this concept known as monopolistic competition or cartelization. Think of petroleum products, think of petrol, think of diesel, think of telecom. We are identifying and polarizing towards a few companies. We don't have much of competition, or competition has been eliminated. Can we think of anything beyond 4 or 5 names in either of this space? No. They have created such amount of infrastructure, support, and things which they can offer. It's something very unique. We go on to the Michael Porter's another strategy, which is known as generic strategies. This is basically generic or general, which focuses again into 2 levels on the x-axis and the y-axis. X-axis considering the scope, where you talk about a niche or specialized market, and the total market space. How much can I actually contribute in the complete market space? And on the competitive advantage, where I can either talk about differentiating on basis of low cost. I can give you low cost, you give me the volume, order for volume. Or can we talk about differentiation? Giving something new, giving something different, giving something special, something like Reliance Zero Fiber. So when we talk about something like that, in between we have the words put stuck up in the middle. We need to really understand and focus on 4 quadrants, the cost leadership. What is the level of the top deck or the leaders we need to employ, engage, deliver, create strategies, perform, order, and many of those things, So it comes for a price. So you need to have the best of the leaders coming into you. And we need to have that differentiation element, kuch hatke, kuch alag se dena hai. And we need to have a focus also. How much of money, when we talk about focus on money, technology doesn't come in cheap. Skilled and competent people do not come in cheap. We need to spend money. So how much of a budget, how much of a rollout can I plan? For how many years can I have the buy-in for a break-even? I'm not going to make profits immediately once I start spending. How many years, how many months, how much of cycles, business cycles, how much of performance? And imagine an emergency like COVID coming in, or even something smaller, it is going to impact. Differentiation, focus as compared to my competence. So all those things will need to be considered when you are talking about the Porter generic strategies. This was also a question which has come. So it's basically considering how the company is going to pursue and position. Now, when you talk about positioning, it is not just the products, it's not just the technology, it's basically the people, it's the leaders, it's the differentiation, it's the focus, and of course, how you are going to give something very different and how your focus is going to be. I'm not going to read theory, it's basically understanding the 4 quadrants, putting it into the different things and avoiding being stuck in the middle. I mean, we don't want to be stuck up in the muck, or we don't want to be stuck up somewhere in between where we can't get out, we can't develop. In that case, you'll perish and you'll be out. Your company will be lost and you'll be out of the market space. Forget competition, you will not thrive, you will not survive. So we need to understand that. Please do not worry. I will be sharing detailed inputs in the form of a PPT and a PDF in gradual course once the session is over, either today or tomorrow. We go on to the Kurt Lewin policy or the model or the framework of force field. Now, this is again another input which we are taking from the marketing stream. It began in 1940s. It's a very simple mechanism, and it takes 2 criteria. One is the driving forces or positive forces for change, and the second is restraining forces or obstacle for change. These are nothing but challenges, concerns, issues which are on one side, which you put it under restraining forces, and on the other side you talk about the motivational features, the positive points, the encouragement, the boosting of morale, and certain other things. And in the center you have a specific area which is known as the state of affairs. So when you talk about a present state, to convert it to the desired state, what we will need to do in very simple language, I'll try to tell you, we need to have an equilibrium. Now, when you talk about equilibrium, is we need to remove some restraining forces and we need to add some driving forces. We will not be able to remove the restraining forces totally, because it may impact people, it may impact processes, it may impact performance, it may impact profits, it may impact a lot of things. again we will not be able to put in a lot of driving forces. We need to have a balance. कुछ निकालना है, कुछ जोड़ना है, ताकि we need to thrive, we need to sustain, we need to be adaptable. So when we are talking about this, he talks about three things. Unfreeze. Unfreeze is basically you need to come out of that frozen state, जो आपका existing state है, and you need to have something which is known as quasi-equilibrium. Quasi may not be for a permanent time. It is maybe for a limited time or limited engagement, but it is the only way out. There is no choice. And certain things we could accept in the change mode, which is an imbalance which needs to be introduced so that you could increase the drivers and reduce the resistance, or do both. जो भी आपको ठीक लगता है. Lot of thinking is going to happen. Lot of deliberations is going to happen. Lot of collaboration is going to happen at the upper level, because a lot of changes or transformation which is going to take place is going to impact the organizational change. Then we could have the refreeze. Once the change is completed, now we need to have a refreeze so that at least for some time there will be no more disruptions in both these types of forces which are available. कुछ देर तक हमको इसको स्टडी करना है, परफॉर्म होते हुए देखना है, डिलीवर होते हुए देखना है. So we could have a time interval, we could have an evaluation machinery into place, we could have people aligned, we could have monitoring, and then if required we go in for a rejig after a schedule. 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you could pick up certain things, you could remove certain things, you could align, and again you could create a different form of an equilibrium. This reminds me, I mean, this blackboard with this special input reminds me of all of us going stage wise, project wise. So for example, you have these 4 levels, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You need to understand from first to second to third to fourth, it's a progressive mode going towards success or performance, like some of you all rightly said in the beginning when we are doing that scavenger hunt. Phase wise, performance wise, one phase you complete, you go on to the next, you go on to the next, you go on to the next. Anywhere incomplete, anywhere not completed could disrupt the whole thing or could put the project in jeopardy. You need to go in sequential form, in a specific form, because some disruption would be a lot of cost, a lot of effort, and a lot of problems in the future. So now we are going to talk about the scoreboard, which needs to be pakka, which needs to consider. Scoreboard is nothing but a template, it's a result, or it is a format, or it is some sort of a document which will help you to understand where we stand in terms of performance, in terms of training, in terms of capability, in terms of inputs, in terms of enhancement, in terms of a lot of things. So we're going to deal with some concepts related to this. So we'll take some important things like workforce scorecard, HR scorecard, training scorecard. Why do you think the scorecards are required? It's basically a strategy for the business where we have a balanced scorecard which relates to the operational success, financial success, and the customer success. Every company has got a strategy for business which relates to having the best of operations, the best of the finances being, we do not call it expenditure, we talk about in terms of investment, and we talk about retaining the old customers and developing new customers so that we are holistically connected in delivering, understanding, performing, and earning out of it. The strategy for workforce is basically the people and employment. We talk about workforce success, we talk about competency building, we talk about behaviors, we talk about mindset and culture. So all those things relate because finally it's people who are going to be there. It's not going to be magic. It's going to be a specific steady stream. Then we have a strategy for HR. HR is also needing to be considered where we understand a lot of changes happening, a lot of practices being changed, a lot of systems being changed, a lot of staff competencies going in for a complete makeover or a change. So those things are very common. And a strategy for training where we talk about training practices, training systems, training ROI. What is the training ROI? What is ROI basically? When you talk about ROI in simple terms, I'll give you a formula which is available.
It is a return on investment?
Yes, return on investment, or else some of them put it as ROTI also, return on training investment. Very good, Razia. Thank you so much. Anyone would like to expand on this? I would not give a long time, but at least one answer I can have. Any expansion on this word return on investment? Kindly understand ROI. You need to be very familiar because it's being used in a work format, number one. Number two, it's going to be appearing in many of these subjects in the next 2 semesters. So you'll be having ROTI or ROI or whatever you call it. It's nothing but benefits minus the costs divided by cost into 100. So we are able to understand what benefits are derived from the training. We reduce the costs which are being done. It's not just cost involved in the training, it's the cost on the payroll. You're going to accept the people into training, so there's going to be no performance at that point of time. There's going to be no alignment of those people in the normal process. So even that payroll cost you need to take into consideration and divide it by total cost and multiply it with 100, so you get the ROI. This is a simple crisp formula which you can get anywhere.
Sir, one small thing.
Yeah, please.
Sometimes these people in marketing, they are so biased that as soon as the boss want to say something, they come out with some excuse. But when they are in training and you are able to make them think, then they sometimes design their targets much better than what they do in marketing conference.
Correct. I agree with you. Because what happens is normally sometimes people are disoriented till the time we empower and see the correct perspective and see how it benefits. Because one thing is very certain, because all of us are having a lot of emotions, feelings, and sort of an achievement, self-achievement. So जब तक मुझे कुछ मेरे डिपार्टमेंट के लिए, मेरे लिए या मेरे ग्रुप के लिए या मेरा पीयर सपोर्ट में कुछ ना तो कुछ स्पेसिफिक दिखता नहीं है, तो मैं क्यों कंट्रीब्यूट करूं? It is not related to training, it's related to anything for that matter. So basically this is a sort of a chart which talks about balance scorecard leading to workforce scorecard, HR scorecard, connecting to HR systems, competencies, practices, mindset, leadership, customer success. So I mean, these things I'll be sharing with you, not to worry. We'll not go into too much detail as far as this chart is concerned. What is a scorecard? We already spoke about it. It's a template, it's a management system, it's a way of understanding the bigger picture. It also takes into consideration as a standard strategy performance management tool in a structured format that can be used by managers to track the execution of activities by staff within their control and to monitor consequences arising from these actions. So you need to understand there are certain steps which are being followed.
Sir, sorry to disturb you. Can you just give an example, I mean, for clarity, sir, about this scorecard, sir, with respect to HR department, or like a live example, of salesman?
A scorecard is basically a template where you're going to put a certain inputs to create the outcome. So it, can you give me some time, Razia? What we'll do is we'll go through this scorecard, so possibly you will get the answer looking at the templates which follow. I mean, so sorry for suggesting.
No problem, sir. It's
okay. So possibly you could understand this, and then of course we could relate it with an example. So step 1 is to reach an agreement to the terms and the meaning. Step 2 is to understand what is expected to be achieved. Step 3 is basically organizing a proper discussion around the strategy. Step 4 is adding KPIs, the key performance indicators and action plans. And step 5 is making sure a cultural shift is made. So kindly understand, it's something like a document or a template. We could use Excel formats, we could use statistical tools to infer and find out the outcomes. The overall feature of a balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard is known as the godfather of all scorecards. So it talks about objectives. When you talk about KPIs, it's basically 4 buckets. When you talk about a scorecard, the template is designed into 4 buckets or 4 quadrants or 4 squares, whatever you call it, aligned towards a mission and a strategy. The 4 buckets should involve the internal business process, where you talk about systems, processes, standard operating procedures. We talk about financial success, where you talk about investments on technology, on people, on marketing, where you're going to be successful. We talk about our interactions, our relationships with the customer, and we talk about the learning curve towards the growth. So all these 4 need to be put together when we talk about understanding that. So we could have specific objectives lined up for all these 4 KPIs or key performance indicators and measuring of target initiatives for all these 4, so that we know we are on the same level as all others are. So for example, now these are the 4 quadrants. You'll need to put in inputs. There are statistics. These are basically dashboard related effects where you could have workforce behavior, where you could have workforce success, where you could have workforce mindset and culture, and where you could have workforce competencies. So when you talk about behavior, it could be the way you're behaving at work. I'm just giving you a simple input. Workforce success could be where you're totally motivated, your morals are very high, you're very happy, you're very engaged, you're very focused, and you're success based. Workforce mindset and culture is whether you're adopting to the bigger picture, that is individual culture matching with the organizational culture. Workforce competencies are basically specific competencies where your desirable behavior is actually transitioning into the action mode. So in a marketplace fueled by intangible assets, anything less than optimal work performance can threat the survival. We need to have people engaged, focused. So friends, you must have seen that we have a lot of surveys happening. Good companies to work with, best companies to work with. We have a lot of parameters, a lot of things happening where the industry statistics are available. Reports are done every year. Of course, during COVID now it will be a very different format. But a lot of these things are happening where we can actually understand our workforce. We have external interventions, internal interventions, and a lot of things happening. So we can understand what capabilities we have, whether they are utilized properly, whether they are poorly utilized, whether they are underutilized, whether specific strategies need to be changed. Then we have the 4 elements. Of course, again, this is going into the details where we could understand the success part, we could understand the leadership part, we could understand the workforce competency, and of course the mindset. So certain crisp inputs have been given into the score part where you are able to go beyond. What is an HR scorecard? Now, when you talk about an HR scorecard, it's basically something which talks about, it talks about a visual representation of the key measures of HR department achievements, the productivity, and the other features and factors like the costs for HR. HR is a major cost. The hiring cost, turnover cost, attrition, level of training. I mean, till the time you reach that competency to perform and deliver. I mean, you have a lot of things which are aligned with the corporate goals, and you cannot do away with HR. We cannot have robots taking the place. So we have a specific balanced scorecard format, creating a bridge. So we have to have the best formats, and we need to understand our engagements towards the learning, towards the operations, towards the customers, towards the financial. We need to create a sort of a matrix and put in figures, statistics, where we understand. Of course, the 4 buckets are going to remain the same. Data inputs or the data points, which will give a basis for calculation, may change from company to company or from time to time also. We talk about the 5 elements where we take crisp things: workforce success, right HR cost, right type of HR alignment. I would say that we need to put a question mark when you talk about HR cost and right type of HR alignment. We may go in for a lot of surprises when we have a lot of change happening. So sort of alignments would change. So question marks would be there, practices and features would change, right HR professionals. It's not just the right background, it's the people who could work right for us. We go on to this where we need to understand the training scorecard, where the famous Kirkpatrick levels. Now, this is a detailed training scorecard where we need to understand a lot of things. You know, a lot of things are required when you need to create a training deck, because right from the time you do the study of having the indicator and right till the time you consider even the intangible benefits, looping in reaction, learning, behavior, impact, a lot of money, a lot of processes, a lot of interventions, a lot of things are going into that space, a lot of data is coming in. So when you talk about this, we will be able to narrow it down if we use specific tools, if we impact every level. Now, many a times people do not understand this process. They do not use the correct model of Kirkpatrick, or they leave midway. They go into the reaction stage and they leave it midway. It's not like that. Every level has got a specific level of commitment, engagement, expense, experimentation, research, assessments, and the impacts or outcomes or results. So every level, so you need to go in a very structured manner. It allows a lot of customization and flexibility also, but we need to understand and delve and evolve deeper into this. Every level needs to be considered if we need to have reflections on the cost of measurement. So the strategy map actually gives direction to all. It connects on the training program where we match training program and strategic goal. And a trainer evaluation is a continuous process. When you see the weightage more than the training program, trainer evaluation is very important. We don't want someone from HR department only to be a training boss or a training facilitator or a trainer. We have people from the strategic perspective, we have the line managers, we may have the middle managers, we may have the CEO, we may have even junior people, in the sense even people who are putting just 2 or 3 years of experience also. We don't mind if they are able to bring value into the training program, because my strategy is very simple. I need to have good performance to deliver and perform. So 75% importance these days, the dashboard very clearly specifies what level of engagement, what level of qualification, what level of expertise, how can I communicate. All of us cannot communicate. If I cannot communicate, I cannot perform as a trainer. So I need to make space for someone. It's basically something like a cricket match. When you talk about captaining a cricket match, irrespective of what you're able to do, you have a lot of things going into making of a cricket captain. It's not just communication. It's the way you bond with people. It's the way you motivate. It's the way you see that your team performs. Whether you're successful or not, that's different. Still, the participation and bringing in value is important. So we need to have the strategy map well defined. The key elements. Yes.
Sir, on last slide, na, this point 1 and point 2 are point 3. What are point 7 remaining? Wait.
I didn't get you. Where is this? Which slide are you talking about?
Next slide, na, where you have given weight to trainer 75%, and below you have given weight 0.01, 0.02.
I mean, this is of course a graphic. I mean, we will not go into the specific of this graphics, which is a very elaborate process.
Okay.
We will just try to show one thing, Rakesh ji. What my suggestion is, we need to consider having the right person for training. That's basically the whole impact. तो वो कैसे डील करेगा, कैसे इंटरेक्ट करेगा, कैसे एंगेज करेगा, कैसे परफॉर्म करवाएगा, कैसे लोगों को फैसिलिटेट करवाएगा. That's basically what we are trained about, irrespective of our experience.
Okay, sir. I thought that something is missing. 0.7.
No, that's okay. The key elements of a training scoreboard would include some of these things which fall into the bucket. The learning, which is important. The business impact, which is important. The indicators. Anyone can say what the indicators are? A lot of you are from the training domain. Okay, let me tell so that it will be easy. Yeah. Someone would like to try?
Reactions, all these indicators.
Everything. Indicator is basically crisp points. We need data points to calculate. So data points like indicators is the first thing. I would say indicators is the first thing of a training scoreboard. It would include number of trainees, which you are going to align, the schedules, the payroll, the total number of training hours for all those employees, specific training hours per employee, how much of investment is there, how much of engagement is there, how much of return is there, all things in numericals consent to that specific training program or training programs in that schedule, or the whatever you decide, whatever level of training, you need to have indicators. This will be the broad indicators which we need to have. Of course, we'll have return on investment or ROTI, we'll have the business impact, because we need to have people who are trained and who deliver. We need to have learning, application, no specific, I mean, I'm not doing identification, but I would like to still focus on the word indicator. Indicator is of prime importance. Indicator actually decides everything else. So that's basically the key elements. So here, I mean, this is again another graphic which says that you need to be always smiling, motivated, be a good trainer, be a good learner, be a good performer, and a tick mark for you to be engaged even in these bad seasons. The organizational development. Now this is coming towards slightly the end. Organizational development is going in through a complete change, facilitating the success. A lot of organizations are going in through a lot of change, a lot of activity, a lot of rejigging, where you align structure, culture, strategic realities, responding to the needs of an ever evolving business climate. So you have a lot of change happening. It's a deep connect between a business process and structure on one hand and people working on the other. In short, to create good organizations, you need to have people and processes linked. It is something like a bonding, it's like a cohesion. I talk one language and everyone needs to understand. When you talk about I'm talking about I as an organization and you as a team. So all of us need to bond, understand one psyche, one mission, one credo, one value, one way of performance and delivery. The formats may change. Okay. So certain characteristics of OD could involve changes to the structure, culture, strategy, involvement, individual job, the application of behavior. This is the biggest challenge. People having emotions, temperament, mood swings. Suddenly I'm happy, suddenly I'm unhappy, suddenly I'm depressed, frustrated. I mean, all those things keep coming. So we need to have a lot of all HR professionals, all marketing professionals, all people who are dealing with teams on the physical format, face-to-face and virtual, need to be composed and understand what reactions would be, what you are supposed to expect, and what you are supposed to perceive, and how you are supposed to still keep the tribe together. Tribe is basically the team. The knowledge and the practice to facilitate transformation. So we need to be psychologists to some extent. This could have very successful transformations actually. Improvement of organizational effectiveness by involving members of the organization in understanding the challenge while enabling new skills, knowledge, and way of thinking. We need to be very progressive. Okay. So, I mean, certain things you need to pick it up whether you like it or not. You need to take a risk, you need to take a leap, you need to take the challenge, otherwise you cannot go. The promoting of concepts like higher productivity, performance, quality. What is quality? I mean, I would like to ask someone, what is quality? What is the definition of quality? Quality, okay, let me say, I mean, it's something like you're absolutely near zero defect, or you accept minimum acceptance of error limits. Only in that case can you be a quality product. When you talk about Apple products for that matter, I'm not advertising for them. They are a quality product when they certify that this product is not going to have any virus, this product is going to be very superior in performance. So something like that when you talk about whether it's a automobile, whether it's a, I mean, it's a technology-based product or whatsoever, something like a driverless car, which Tesla is proclaiming to be successful, or maybe a mission to Mars, some sort of a thought where quality is got to be considered as a premium. The facilitation of change needs to be flexible, adaptive, and participative. We need to have people who are flexible, who are resilient, who can keep a block of ice on their heads during tension and during stress. We need to have use stress or good stress. We need to adapt and we need to participate. And of course, COVID and beyond, whatsoever, sustainability, because the curve says, I mean, the graphic says going on top, but marketing people will definitely say that there's a curve going downwards also. We can't go on and on. We need to evolve, we need to change, we need to develop, we need to progress, we need to go beyond. So that change initiative also has to be there. OD is nothing but operating from a particular set of values which will shape how the work is going to be done. Key to this is valuing human potential. There is nothing greater than human potential. You may have the best of the technology, but humans, understanding them from a range of perspectives of stakeholders in a well, broad, identified ownership basis is how it's going to be implemented and maximized. Essence of OD would relate to rewards, process, people, structure. So it's a complete mesh, a combination of all the words with process, the right process, management process, work process. That means you have a wonderful team on the top. They don't mind about hierarchy. They are able to help you. Good systems are there, good practices. Even the work has got certain parameters, but you are ready to evolve and blend. You've got wonderful set of people. You have a proper structure. You have a proper reward mechanism. and you have a strategy to excel. Training strategy is something, I mean, if it's going to be slightly going overboard, what I'll do is I will stop this share at this moment. I will show you a video. I will take some inputs from you, and of course this part of the slide I can always show it to you on 11th, which is the last class. So may I take your permission?
Yes, please.
Okay, so what I will do is, तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है, no? So let me see if I can show you the video. I've got a beautiful video. Let me know if you are not able to hear the sound. You're able to see and hear both?
Sound is not coming.
That's what, you know, I'm trying
so
to...
there is, in that, if you go at the top, there is that more option. There will be some computer sound. You need to click on that.
See, the more option is showing me breakout rooms, pause recording, stop recording, hide video panel, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, share computer sound. Is it the share computer sound?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now are you able to see it? It's a beautiful video. In fact, with sound it would have been wonderful. Now I'm...
Sir, it's not playing.
Oh, yes.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough.
Now you can hear?
Yes.
No.
Okay. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future, 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen, the future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
Yes, friends. So how was it?
Very amazing, sir.
Oh my, it started 1 second. I think.
But very fast.
That's okay, Rakesh. See, I wanted certain things. I'm also learning with you all. Like thanks to Urvashi, you given that specific input. Computer sound karna hai. So I would have loved to use this. Even next session also we will do something like this. Yes. What else? I'm so glad that I can see some. All of you all can put your videos on, or do I need to enable so that at least I can see you all for a minute? Oh yes, Rakesh, I can see. Abhay, I can see. Let's all see. No, yes, that's good. That's good. Very nice. Very nice. Oh wow. Pradeep is there. Razia, Mansi, yeah, Isha, Manjusha, Sahu, Urvashi, Anand. Yes, Murlidhar.
I'm not turned on
That's
my
okay.
video.
That's okay. That's okay. It looks nice. I wanted to see how you all look. It's so nice to interact and be virtual at least for some time. Great, great. The connect is absolutely good. Some of you all possibly are not able to do because of a different device and things like that. So,
I am in a type just for a second. I'm just showing my test.
Okay, okay. Welcome.
Actually, for your class, I am always ready because you look so smart. So we have to.
See, this is the best way. I can't be very dull, isn't it, Swapnil? I have to be prepared. I have to look smart if I'm going to engage smart people like you all. So, that has to be there. So, yes, I think some of us are not able to do it. Great, no problem. So, what we do is next, thank you, Razia. So, what we do is we have the last session next. That is on the 11th. Again, I will see that it is happening at 10:30, whatever you prefer would be an ideal time. And we would try to cover many areas, including part of this PPT, which is being shared, where I stopped it at training strategy. For Razia and for all your benefits, we will go into details of the scorecard also, so that at least you get a feel, even if you're not able to do it actually on a manual basis, how it will do it or how it will look like, all those things will work out. Absolutely nothing to worry. And certain questions and certain ways of answering. And I think some of us actually have received the mail from Delhi. So if you have received the mail from Delhi, good enough. The mail says 15 to 20 of the students all across, that's all India, are being invited to a mock online test session at 4 p.m. tomorrow. In case some of us have not received, no problem. We will have many such sessions before the dates and the actual process goes through. And some of them luckily are in my loop, in the sense I am also marked in that mail, so I know actually who has at least some of the emails. They're not part of Mumbai. They might be Gurgaon, Noida, I don't know where. So at least we'll be able to interact with them and ask them ki kaisa hua, kya pattern tha, kya format tha, how was the proctoring and how long did they take. And if I am also part of that test tomorrow, I would be very lucky enough to share live experiences as an examinee from the other side of the fence, as they call it. So that's basically how it is. So thank you so much. God bless you. And continue to have your sessions. I think you all have got 2 more sessions lined up. So please do attend. And we will still be available. Yes, we'll still be available even after that on WhatsApp or on call. And we will try to keep 1 or 2 learning series. Yes, Vijendra, you want to ask a question? Vijendra Vishwa.
Sir, I have, something.
No, I have just appreciated.
Okay. Yes, Pradeep.
Yeah. So first of all, it's really, very much thankful, sir. So nice of that PPT. It is a very good insight.
My pleasure, my privilege. I love to do something good for good people like all of you.
Sir, a request we actually. Please teach us how to prepare such kind of, good PPT.
Oh.
Because your PPT is really very interactive and very impressive.
Okay.
So एक तो session आपको लेने पड़ेगा PPT के ऊपर.
Okay,
actually,
sure.
Your energy is amazing.
Oh my, thank you. Fine. I am honored. In fact, I feel younger with young people, So that's basically y'all are the inspiration actually.
I don't know that I am younger or you are younger.
That's okay, Rakesh. You are young because I've been seeing you sharing experiences. See, do not do not, I will give something in your appreciation and my appreciation. Don't think that the color of the hair has become white by age. Just think that it has become white because of the sunlight.
Sir, age is just a number.
Correct. See, that's thanks to Razia. So the enthusiasm, the thrill, the joy, the engagement, and I mean, all of you are amazing. I mean, it would have been very nice. Unfortunately, this COVID has come. Otherwise, I engage with all the classes on a very personal front. जो face to face होता है. But अभी क्या करेंगे? We don't know, ना. I mean,
I am life member, so we are forever.
Okay, so connect will be there. Of course, there will be some sort of things which may not, exactly happen